Walking away can be one of the most difficult decisions you'll ever have to make in life. It's not about giving up. It's not about running away from your problems or choosing the easy way out. It's an act of self-love. It's an act of courage, a decision that, when made consciously, can transform your life at its very core. The renowned psychologist Carl Jung, a visionary in the exploration of the human psyche, taught that true spiritual growth arises when we're brave enough to look at ourselves honestly, when we're willing to recognize what holds us back and what propels us forward toward our deepest purpose. And often, that recognition involves the painful but necessary process of letting go of people, environments, ideas, or identities that no longer resonate with who we truly are inside. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you found yourself staying in a relationship, a job, a place, or even a mindset that deep down you knew wasn't right for you? That feeling of emptiness, that inner conflict that seems to have no resolution, those aren't coincidences. They're not random. They're messages from your unconscious mind, like whispers trying to steer you gently in a different direction, toward a more aligned, more fulfilling life. Jung believed that our unconscious is not something to be feared or ignored. It's constantly working, guiding us toward wholeness, toward integration. But to move in that direction, we must first have the courage to face the parts of ourselves we've hidden in the shadows. The shadow, a central concept in Jungian psychology, represents all the aspects of ourselves we've repressed, denied, or rejected. Our fears, our insecurities, our past wounds. They're the parts of ourselves we've buried because they felt too painful, too uncomfortable, or simply didn't fit with the image we wanted to present to the world. But these hidden parts don't just disappear. They show up in our lives, often mirrored in the people we choose to surround ourselves with. When you feel trapped in a relationship, drained by someone's presence, or disconnected from your own spirit, it's not a coincidence. It's a projection of something within you that desperately needs to be seen, acknowledged, and healed. But healing doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes, the most healing thing you can do for yourself is to walk away, to step back from whatever is consuming your energy, clouding your clarity, and pulling you away from what truly matters. And let's be honest, this isn't easy. We live in a world that glorifies endurance. We're taught to believe that strength means holding on, even when it hurts. That success is about how much we can endure, how long we can stay standing despite the weight on our shoulders. We're praised for resilience, even when that resilience turns into self-neglect. But Carl Jung invites us to challenge those beliefs. He reminds us that clinging to what no longer serves us is not a virtue. It's a form of self-abandonment. True strength lies in knowing when to release, when to honor your truth, even if it means disappointing others or walking away from what's familiar. Imagine, just for a moment, what your life would look like if you freed yourself from those invisible chains. That job that doesn't nourish your soul, that relationship that leaves you feeling not enough, the expectations you carry that were never yours to begin with. What kind of energy would be available to you if you let those things go? What kind of life could you create if you gave yourself permission to choose your inner peace over external validation? Letting go is not weakness. It's the ultimate act of bravery. It sends a clear message to your unconscious. I am ready for something better. I am ready for a life that reflects who I truly am. And when you take that step, when you choose to walk away with clarity and intention, something extraordinary begins to happen. You start to come back to yourself. You begin to hear your intuition more clearly, that quiet voice within that has always been there, waiting patiently for you to listen. Jung taught that the relationships we form and the environments we immerse ourselves in don't just influence us, they mirror us. The people closest to us act as mirrors, reflecting not only our strengths and values, but also our unresolved wounds and inner conflicts. When you stay in dynamics that make you feel small, drained, or disconnected, you're not just experiencing discomfort, you're ignoring a deeper message from within. Something inside you is calling for transformation. And stepping away is not selfish. It's a journey into self-awareness. It's the moment you look at yourself with radical honesty and ask, is this helping me grow, or is this keeping me stuck? The answer might hurt. It might shake the foundation of your life. But it's also liberating, because in that truth lies the key to your evolution. Jung called this journey individuation, the process of becoming your most authentic self. Not who the world expects you to be, not who you were told you had to be, but who you really are, beneath all the masks and roles. And individuation requires that we stop betraying ourselves for the sake of comfort or acceptance. It asks us to be brave enough to walk away from what's familiar when it no longer reflects our truth. But how do you know when it's time to walk away? The signs are usually there, persistent and clear. But we ignore them because the fear of the unknown often feels stronger than the desire for change. It might start as a quiet discomfort, a subtle restlessness, an emotional exhaustion that no amount of rest can fix, or a tension within you that no longer makes sense. These aren't just emotional states. They are inner guides. They are your soul's way of telling you you're out of alignment. We often wait for a breaking point. We wait until the pain becomes unbearable before we act. But what if you didn't have to reach that point? What if the discomfort you feel today is already enough of a reason to make a change? Choosing to walk away isn't about abandoning others. It's about returning to yourself. It's about honoring your evolution, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it doesn't make sense to anyone else. And as difficult as it may be, it is often the very path that leads to true healing, inner peace, and ultimately, freedom. You are not here to merely survive the life you've been handed. You are here to create the life that aligns with your soul. Sometimes that means walking away. And in doing so, you're not closing a chapter, you're opening a new one. One where you are no longer living from fear, but from truth. One where your decisions are rooted not in obligation, but in authenticity. And that perhaps is the most powerful journey of all. Carl Jung emphasized that true spiritual growth demands courage. A kind of courage that is rarely comfortable, often painful, and most certainly tested in those moments when you're asked to let go of something you once believed to be essential. It could be a long-term relationship, one you've poured your time, energy, and love into, but which no longer nurtures your soul. Or perhaps it's a job that provides financial stability, the kind that gives you a sense of security, but slowly drains your spirit day by day. Sometimes it's even a belief or an idea that has shaped your identity for years, only to realize it no longer resonates with who you are becoming. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean devaluing what once was. It means honoring the role it played in your life, recognizing the lessons it brought, and making the conscious choice to release it so that something new, something more aligned with your true self, can enter. In choosing to walk away, you're not just freeing yourself, you're also allowing the other person or situation to find its own path, its own truth, outside the constraints of what it used to be. Jung believed that everything in the universe is interconnected, and when you release what no longer fits your journey, you make space for what does. This is an act of love, not just towards yourself, but towards everyone involved. And yet, this process is far from linear. There will be moments filled with uncertainty, nostalgia, and fear. Letting go can feel like jumping into the unknown, especially when you've grown comfortable, even if it's in discomfort, with what's familiar. This is where Jung's teachings become a lifeline. He spoke of the power hidden within chaos, the sacred opportunity that lies in emptiness. In the vacuum left behind by what we release, there exists the raw potential for transformation. It's in that space, free from labels, societal expectations, and ingrained conditioning, that you have the chance to rediscover who you truly are. It's in confronting this emptiness, rather than running from it, that your authentic self begins to rise. Jung's concept of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming who you really are, requires you to face your shadows. These shadows aren't something to fear or avoid. They're the rejected, repressed, and forgotten parts of your psyche, and by integrating them, you step into a deeper sense of wholeness. Think of a time when you had to walk away from something or someone. At first, it may have felt like a loss, a painful tearing away from a piece of yourself. But in time, you may have noticed something subtle, yet powerful. Clarity, peace, a quiet strength, and a renewed energy rising from within. This isn't a coincidence. According to Jung, when we release emotional burdens that don't truly belong to us, when we stop carrying the expectations, roles, and wounds that aren't ours, we clear a path for our real essence to emerge. And while this awakening is liberating, it's far from easy. One of the greatest challenges is dealing with external judgment. We live in a world that constantly evaluates our choices, especially when those choices go against the grain of what's considered normal or acceptable. Jung referred to this as the conflict between the authentic self and the adapted self. The authentic self is your truth, raw, intuitive, and connected to your soul. The adapted self, on the other hand, is the mask you wear to survive, to belong, to be accepted. When you choose to walk away from something that no longer aligns with you, you're essentially peeling off that mask. You're rejecting the life others expect you to live and choosing instead to honor what your soul deeply needs. That is a revolutionary act, because in doing so, you not only transform your own life, you also silently give others permission to reflect on their own choices. But let's be honest, not everyone will celebrate your evolution. Some will question your decisions. Others may criticize you or even try to guilt you into returning to the old patterns. This is where Jung's work becomes a compass. It teaches you to trust your intuition, to stay rooted in your connection to the unconscious, even when the outside world pushes back. It reminds you that walking away is not an act of cowardice. It's an act of profound responsibility. You are not running from problems. You're not avoiding accountability. You're acknowledging that you cannot grow in a space that stifles your spirit. You cannot heal in a relationship that continually wounds you. And you cannot discover your purpose while clinging to what has already served its purpose. This realization is not just liberating, it's transformative. It frees you, but it also frees the people and circumstances in your life from expectations they were never meant to meet. Jung reminds us that true growth only begins when we step beyond the edges of our comfort zone. It's in those uncertain, chaotic moments, when nothing seems clear and everything feels like it's suspended in midair, that we uncover our real strength. The fear of change is nothing more than a reflection of our inner shadows. It's that persistent inner voice whispering, "You're not ready. You won't make it on your own. It's safer to stay where you are." Carl Jung taught us that these voices aren't enemies. They are not external threats, but rather parts of ourselves that long to be seen, heard, and understood. They are fragments of our psyche yearning for integration. The key lies not in silencing these voices or running from them, but in listening to them with empathy, tracing them back to their origins, understanding their purpose, and then consciously choosing a different path. When we choose to walk away from something that no longer serves us, we are not just making a decision. We are breaking deep-rooted patterns. Often these patterns are invisible, operating silently in the background, shaped by limiting beliefs we've carried throughout our lives. Jung believed that these limiting patterns are not only personal, but also collective. The collective unconscious, a concept he explored deeply, is a vast network of shared human experiences and archetypes. It influences the way we see the world, how we relate to others, and the decisions we make, often without us realizing it. In this sense, walking away isn't just an individual act. It's archetypal. It's the hero confronting the dragon, not to slay it, but to understand it, to integrate its power, and to be transformed into something greater. This journey of transformation is not immediate. It doesn't happen overnight. It demands patience, time, and above all, self-compassion. Along the way, you will face moments of doubt. There will be days when you question your choices, when your old life seems to call you back, promising safety and familiarity. In those moments, remember, spiritual growth is not a destination. It's a process, a spiral path. And even if it sometimes feels like you're going backwards, what's really happening is that you're diving deeper, understanding yourself more profoundly, and slowly moving toward a fuller, more awakened life. As these inner shifts begin to take place, you'll notice subtle but powerful changes in your perception. Situations that once overwhelmed you lose their grip. People who used to drain your energy no longer affect you the same way, because you've learned how to set boundaries, how to protect your peace, and how to honor your inner world. This transformation doesn't remain confined to your internal landscape. It radiates outward. Opportunities that once seemed impossible begin to emerge. Relationships that nourish your spirit start to appear and take root in your life, becoming anchors in your new way of being. One of the most powerful ideas Jung introduced is the concept of shadow integration. This means not only acknowledging the repressed parts of ourselves, but embracing them, learning from them, and allowing them to reintegrate into our being. When you walk away from a toxic situation, you're not doing it out of hatred, resentment, or judgment. You're doing it from a place of clarity and love. You understand that even the most painful situations had something to teach you, that they were part of your journey, but their purpose has been fulfilled. And with that understanding comes the ability to let go, not with bitterness, but with peace. Jung also emphasized the extraordinary role of intuition in the spiritual path. That gut feeling, that subtle voice inside whispering, "This isn't right," that is your unconscious speaking to you. And when you choose to listen, to honor that voice and act upon it, you begin to strengthen your connection to your inner self. It's like tuning an instrument. The more you practice listening, the clearer, more refined, and more trustworthy that inner voice becomes. As you align with your truth, something remarkable begins to happen. You start living a life that feels deeply meaningful. You're no longer bound by the expectations of others or by the stories you used to tell yourself. Instead, you're moving through life with authenticity, guided by your purpose, in harmony with your deepest self. This is the gift Jung hoped we would discover, a life in which we are fully awake, fully present, and deeply connected to who we really are. The true power of walking away is that it allows you to reclaim your energy and refocus it. Jung believed that our psychic energy is finite. When we spend it on relationships, environments, or patterns that do not support our growth, we rob ourselves of the energy we need to create, to dream, and to live fully. Walking away is not just a physical act. It's also an emotional and mental one. It's a declaration, a reclaiming of your right to choose where your energy goes and who has access to it. Think about the times you felt exhausted, uninspired, or disconnected from your goals. Maybe it wasn't because you lacked motivation or discipline. Maybe it was because too much of your energy was entangled in places and with people that drained you. Jung invites us to reflect on how we use our energy, because once we become aware, we can start making more conscious choices. Choosing who you allow into your space, where you invest your time, and what narratives you feed. These are some of the most radical acts of self-empowerment. In this process, you will inevitably encounter one of Jung's most profound concepts, the polarity between the ego and the self. The ego, our conscious identity, craves control, seeks validation, and clings to the familiar. But the self is much larger. It is the totality of who we are, both our light and our shadow. It is the part of us that seeks wholeness, not just comfort. And when you walk away from things that no longer align with your truth, you are allowing the self to lead. You are stepping away from the illusions of the ego and stepping into the flow of something far more real, your authentic path. But make no mistake, this act requires immense courage. Walking away can feel like losing your foundation. You might have to let go of relationships, environments, or identities that once felt like home, even if they were dysfunctional. And that's not easy. It can feel like walking into the unknown, with nothing but your inner compass to guide you. But it's in that uncertainty where your transformation takes root. You are not running away. You are choosing yourself. You are choosing growth over comfort, truth over illusion, purpose over fear. But Jung reminds us that this sacrifice is not in vain. When you let go of what no longer serves you, you make space for what truly matters. And in that space, you might just uncover your purpose, that unique spark that makes you feel alive and connected to something greater than yourself. Oftentimes, walking away also means facing grief. Not just the grief of what you're leaving behind, but also the grief of who you were in that environment. Letting go of a place, a relationship, or a situation often means letting go of a version of yourself, one that perhaps you outgrew, or one that was shaped by pain, fear, or limitation. This can be deeply painful, but it's also an essential step in your transformation. Jung once said that sadness is the cradle of wisdom, and this process is no exception. Through grief, you learn to honor what once was, to find the value in your past experiences, and to prepare your soul for what's yet to come. Grief isn't a weakness, it's a teacher. It softens the edges of your heart and deepens your capacity to love and understand both yourself and others. As you walk this path, resistance will likely show up, not just from the outside world, but from within you too. Your mind might try to convince you that you're making a mistake, that staying where you are is safer, easier, or more familiar. But growth never happens in comfort. It is in the moments of doubt, fear, and uncertainty where your inner strength is forged. With time, you'll begin to notice a shift. This choice to step away, to let go, starts to transform your view of the world. Relationships stop feeling like burdens and instead become sources of nourishment and support. Challenges stop feeling like insurmountable obstacles and start to look like opportunities to learn, to evolve, to become. This transformation isn't magic. It's the direct result of aligning your life with your inner truth. And here's the beautiful part. This act of letting go, of realigning, doesn't just benefit you. It ripples outward. Jung believed that when a person becomes authentic, when they live from a place of true alignment, they elevate everyone around them. Your decision to live from your truth may inspire others to do the same. This is the domino effect of spiritual growth. When one person finds their light, they unknowingly illuminate the path for many others. As you move further down this road toward authenticity, it's crucial to understand that walking away does not mean giving up on love or on human connection. It means redefining what love means to you. Jung taught that the relationships we nurture are mirrors of our own inner world. When you distance yourself from people or dynamics that no longer nourish your soul, you are not closing yourself off from love. You are opening up to deeper, more meaningful connections. You are creating space for relationships that align with your purpose, that challenge you in the right ways, that support your growth. Letting go is a process of reconnection, a homecoming to your true self. It's like returning from a long journey and realizing that everything you've ever needed was always inside of you. Jung spoke of the unconscious as a vast ocean filled with insights, intuition, and answers that we often search for outside ourselves, but can only truly access by turning inward. Walking away from what no longer resonates with your spirit is a vital step toward accessing that inner ocean, that endless well of truth and wisdom. And when you make that brave decision to release, something powerful begins to happen. You begin to feel a clarity that once seemed impossible. That inner voice, the one you might have ignored or silenced for so long, begins to grow louder and more trustworthy. Jung called this the connection to the self, the core of our psyche, the center of our true identity. From this sacred place, you gain the ability to make choices with confidence, knowing they align with who you really are at the deepest level. It's important to understand that this journey is not about perfection. Jung taught that the goal of life is not to be flawless, but to be whole. And wholeness means embracing every part of you, the light and the shadow, the strengths and the weaknesses, the triumphs and the mistakes. Choosing to walk away is not a declaration of superiority or rejection, but rather an acknowledgement that you deserve to live in a space that reflects your authentic self. And sometimes, the most compassionate act is simply saying goodbye. There will be moments along the path where you'll look back. It's natural. There will be days when you question your decision, when you miss the people, the places, the familiarity you left behind. But in those moments, remind yourself why you started. Remind yourself that your soul was searching for something more, something it couldn't find in the space you once occupied, and trust that the void you left behind is being filled, slowly but surely, with new opportunities, new lessons, new connections that resonate deeply with who you are becoming. Jung spoke about synchronicity, the mysterious way the universe shows us we're on the right path. When you align with your purpose, life starts to respond in ways that feel almost magical. People show up, events unfold, chances appear, not by coincidence, but because you've begun to live from a place of truth. This is not random. This is the result of living from the soul. It is the manifestation of a life in harmony, a spirit in alignment. The magic of walking away is that it not only clears space in your outer world, it clears space within your heart. You begin to feel again, to explore who you really are, to reconnect with forgotten parts of yourself. You give yourself permission to redefine your identity, not based on external expectations, but on your own deepest desires. And this is perhaps the greatest gift you can ever give yourself. Because when you finally start listening to that quiet voice inside, when you start trusting the signs and symbols rising from your unconscious, a new level of awareness opens before you. One that is guided not by fear or obligation, but by love. The kind of love that starts within and radiates outward, touching everything in its path. And that is where the real transformation begins. Carl Jung described this awakening as the process of individuation, a profound inner journey that leads you to become the person you were always meant to be. In this context, choosing to walk away isn't merely an act of liberation. It's a sacred step toward integrating all the parts of your being, your dreams, your fears, your strengths, and yes, even your shadows. The integration of the shadow is one of the most essential aspects of this journey. Jung reminded us that the shadow isn't something to be destroyed or suppressed. It's not our enemy. It's a vital part of who we are, a reflection of the aspects of ourselves we've pushed into the dark because they didn't fit the image we wanted the world to see. But here's the truth. Real growth begins when you confront that shadow and invite it into your story. When you walk away from what no longer serves you, you're not running. You're choosing to face those hidden parts of yourself, and in doing so, you allow them to become part of your transformation. Let's take an example. Maybe you've found the courage to walk away from a toxic relationship. In the immediate aftermath, you might feel overwhelmed with guilt, insecurity, or fear of being alone. These feelings are uncomfortable, no doubt, but they're also invitations, powerful opportunities to explore which part of you gave birth to those emotions in the first place. You may discover that for years you abandoned your own needs just to please others. Maybe you stayed in that relationship because deep down you feared not being enough on your own. By acknowledging these truths, by daring to look them in the eye, you begin to free yourself from their grip. You reclaim your autonomy, your emotional independence, and take a crucial step toward becoming whole. As you continue walking this path, you'll realize something else. Your external world begins to mirror the transformation happening within you. Jung believed that we are deeply influenced by our environment, and the people we surround ourselves with have a significant impact on our psyche. So when you walk away from relationships, habits, or environments that no longer resonate with who you are becoming, you're not just creating space, you're inviting something new, something more aligned to enter. And that space you open up, it doesn't stay empty for long. It begins to attract more authentic, meaningful relationships, Connections that not only support you, but also challenge you to grow. These are not people who demand that you change or hide parts of yourself to be accepted. No, these are souls who encourage you to be more of yourself, to show up with all your light and all your shadows, without apology. As you evolve, the quality of your relationships shifts. Superficial connections start to fade away, and in their place come bonds that nourish your spirit. This is not coincidence. Jung believed that when we align with our inner truth, we naturally begin to draw in people who resonate at the same frequency. These people don't just see you, they feel you. They don't try to fix you. They stand with you, witnessing your evolution and reminding you that you're not alone on this journey. But let's be honest, this path is far from linear. There will be days when doubt creeps in, days when you'll feel tempted to return to what's familiar, even if deep down, you know it's no longer right for you. In those moments, remember this: spiritual growth is not about being perfect. It's about progress. Every small step you take, every time you choose to honor your truth instead of your fear, you get closer to a life that is whole, free, and authentic. And this progress shows up in one of the most beautiful ways: your ability to trust life. Walking away from what no longer serves you is, in essence, an act of faith. It's trusting that the universe, life itself, will meet you where you are and guide you to where you're meant to be. Jung described this trust as surrendering to the flow of life. It's a state of allowing, of accepting what comes without resistance or fear. And when you choose trust over fear, something incredible begins to happen. You start feeling more connected to the universe, more in sync with the rhythm of existence. A quiet knowing rises within you, a sense that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. You begin to see the signs, the synchronicities, the small miracles that were always there, waiting for you to awaken to them. As you keep walking this path of self-discovery and spiritual growth, you begin to understand that stepping away from what doesn't resonate with your soul isn't abandonment. It's a reunion. It's a sacred return to yourself. It's choosing to place your well-being, your peace, and your authenticity above everything else. Carl Jung taught that the purpose of our life is not to live according to the expectations of others, but to discover our own truth and to walk in alignment with it. When you make that choice, something magical happens. You begin to feel lighter, freer, more in tune with who you truly are. And as your internal world changes, so does the external world around you. The universe, as a reflection of your internal energy, starts responding in kind. The people, opportunities, and experiences that begin to show up are not coincidences. They are the natural result of your commitment to living with purpose and authenticity. And the more deeply you commit to this path, the more powerful your impact becomes, not just on your own life, but on the lives of everyone you touch. It's important to remember, you are not alone in this. Around the world, countless others are facing the same inner battles, carrying the same doubts, and asking the same questions. When you choose to share your story, when you open up and speak your truth, you don't just receive support. You become a source of light for others. You inspire them to take that first step, to start their own journey toward transformation. And this is why building a community matters, a space where souls can come together, connect, learn, and grow. A place where you can be seen, heard, and valued, not just for who you are, but for who you are becoming. So I want to invite you, if this message resonated with you, if it moved something inside of you, or made you reflect on your own path, please share it. Help spread this message to those who need it most. Someone out there is waiting for a sign, a spark, a reminder that change is possible. Let this be that moment for them. Leave a comment below and tell me, what part of this message touched your heart? What decision are you ready to make to align with your truth? Your words might not only inspire others, they might also help this message reach even more people. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Every like, share, and comment helps expand this message and create a greater positive impact in the world. Remember, change begins with you. Walking away may be difficult, but it is also the first step toward a more authentic, fulfilling, and meaningful life. I'm here with you, walking this path by your side. Together, we can create a community where knowledge, reflection, and spiritual growth become a true force of transformation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for being part of this journey. Your story matters, and the world is waiting for you.